Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we're going to talk about how Congress is back, at least part of it, and whether or not we are approaching a government shutdown. Okay, so the Senate's back. The Senate came back today. The House will be back next week, and then I want to say the House is scheduled to work for a whopping 11 days. And during that period, they have to work out a continuing resolution, which is a short-term budget designed to keep the government open, designed to keep it functioning. There is a lot of doubt as to whether or not the Republican Party can get its act together enough to actually get anything out of the House. The Senate is a little bit more deliberate in its decision-making. They tend to understand the impacts of a government shutdown more than anybody else as far as what it does to the economy, the average person, and more importantly to most of them, their own portfolios and investments. Those in the House, well, that's a little bit different. There's a whole lot of Republicans in the House that are more concerned about social media engagement than they are in, well, governing. Now, you have a number of far-right Republicans who are going to try to derail a continuing resolution. They've already put out a couple of different, I want to say 3 different things that they say have to be in it. And they're all non-starters when it comes to the Democratic Party. Some of them are non-starters with other Republicans. So McCarthy is facing a real test here, because he has to try to get the Republican Party together to get something through. Otherwise, the American people will rightly perceive that the Republican Party is so dysfunctional they can't even put together a short-term budget. That will look really bad on the Republican Party as a whole, but him in particular. And what he doesn't want to have to do is pull votes from the Democratic side of the aisle to make up for a bunch of Republican votes that are voting against it. He may not have a choice, but he's going to want to avoid that. If there is a government shutdown, if you haven't been through one before, it's not a total government shutdown. It's most mandatory functions still occur. I know that there's a current talking point that say that these are, just really brilliant representatives who are trying to shut down the government to stop the proceedings against Trump. Yeah, newsflash, that's not covered. Those will still go on. That has nothing to do with it. It wouldn't impact that really. Prosecutions still occur. It's more about paying employees. And realistically, when government shutdowns occur, they hurt the average person. That's who they hurt the most. Those people who are depending on checks from the government, paychecks, or they are depending on the economic activity derived from those checks. That's who it really hurts. But the Republican Party will, of course, try to spin this into some principled move. The reality is there's no principle about this. This isn't something that is going to alter the long-term outcome. This is political grandstanding and an attempt to gain social media engagement and kind of throw some talking points to their more energized base. That's really what it's about for them. They know long term that this isn't going to solve anything. McCarthy has to be concerned because with a majority in the House, with the promises that were made, if this goes sideways and we go into a government shutdown, the American people have tons of sound bites that are going to be all over the media that are going to rightly lead them to the belief that the reason the government is shutting down isn't a partisan thing. It's not Democrat versus Republican here. It's that Republicans couldn't come together to engage in what might be the most basic function of their job up there. It's going to look real bad for them. But I'm not sure that enough Republican congresspeople understand that, because they exist in their own social media echo chamber and information silo. They may not understand how this is going to play with the average person. So we can't count it out. It might still happen. So it's just something to be aware of. If it occurs, it would occur, at the end of this month. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.